Good evening, guys, and welcome to me, Analyst, with your host, Vaden K. And today we are talking about this infamous scene from the anime High School of the Dead, or Gakuren Mokushioku, if we want to go by its Japanese name. Particularly, how fast are her breasts moving here? Now, before we go into the complicated math stuff, let's use a simpler method to see what we're dealing with here. See if you can follow my train of thought. Sniper bullets travel faster than sound. Sound travels around 360 meters per second. Her boobs traveled, say, 10 seconds in this footage, and the bullet, say, traveled 10 centimeters as well. So her boobs are moving as fast as the bullet, and the bullet is moving faster than the speed of sound. So now we have a rough estimate of what we're dealing with here. Now time for the actual math stuff. First, we need the speed of the bullet. Different sniper rifles fire rounds at different speeds, so in order to find the speed of the bullet, we just need the model of the rifle. Fortunately for me, the fandom listed down that the rifle is a Springfield M1A1 rifle, which is an actual rifle used by militaries, with a muzzle velocity of 762 meters or 2,500 feet per second. It does mention that the rifle is modified in some ways, but it is always the scope, the rail, or something else that isn't the muzzle or trigger mechanism, or anything that most likely affect the muzzle velocity. I would like to point out that this is the initial speed of the bullet. It will most likely slow down due to air resistance, but I cannot find any sources or physics equations which can help me without driving me insane. So we'll stick with 762 meters per second. Next, we need Seikobu Tsujima's breast size. This may seem easy at first, as her physical dimensions were listed down on the fandom as well. Her bust is listed as 83 centimeters. This, however, is not particularly useful to me right now, not to mention that it may not be correct. Bust is basically the circumference of her breast and chest, like a ribbon wrapped around it. It doesn't mention the dimensions of the blob of jello hanging outside the chest, so to do this, I used pixel measurements instead. Her height is 174 centimeters, and I found that she is 138 pixels tall in this image. Her chest diameter is 17 pixels, which equates to 21.5 centimeters, give or take a few millimeters. Using this shot, which is around the same scene, I calculated her chest diameter of 21.5 centimeters is about 110 pixels, and her chest protrusion is around 47 pixels, which is roughly 9.2 centimeters. I would like to point out that this method has its flaws, but it's my best shot, unlike Takashi here. Friendly fire for fan service sake. Now, I'm going to go off track for a while to calculate the bust. I'm not going to edit the fandom because I have no desire to start an edit war. So if you want to skip this part, you can just go to the timestamp on the screen now. So, using this picture again tells me that her chest to her back is 59 pixels, which is 11.5 centimeters, with her chest diameter as 21.5 centimeters and the tip of her breast to her back being 20.7, putting it all into a calculator for rectangles with curved corners with the radius of the curve being half her chest protrusion, as her breast start curving at the halfway point, gives us a bust of 76.5 centimeters. Not too far off the 83 centimeters they gave us, although I admit there are probably flaws in my method. Since her chest diameter is 21.5 centimeters, the distance between her breast tips is about half of that, which is 10.75 centimeters. Let's assume both her breasts each move 7.91 centimeters as their tips move roughly 1.4 boob radius. The bullet, which is 5.1 centimeters long, has to be in the 10.75 centimeters space between the breasts, leaving a space of 5.65 centimeters, which will take the bullet 0.000074 seconds to finish, and each of her breasts need to move 7.91 centimeters within that time frame. For a mass to move 7.91 centimeters in 0.000074 seconds, it has to be moving at 1066 meters per second, And since sound travels 343 meters per second in air, her boobs are moving at Mach 3. Now that we have the speed of her breast in that scene, let's calculate how fast she can possibly move her breast according to physics and compare. According to page 111 in Randall Munro's book How To, in order to throw something, a person needs to accelerate it using their muscles, and human bodies can only exert so much muscle power at once. The power output over a short burst is usually limited to around 20 watts per kilogram of body weight. Seiko here weighs 56 kilograms. Let's assume she has the power ratio of 15 watts per kilogram, as she's the captain of the Kendo Club and probably a great Kendo player, which puts her halfway between a normal person and a professional athlete. I converted all my measurements from international standards since I live in Singapore to whatever the US uses and threw them into this formula, also from How To, and threw out 9.45 miles per hour. That's only 15.2 kilometers per hour. Okay, so let's give her 20 watt to kilogram ratio instead, which means that she is comparable to a professional athlete instead of the captain of a school club that happens to be martial arts. And the equation throughout 10.4 miles per hour. That's only 16.7 kilometers per hour. Well, so as it turns out, this scenario is highly unrealistic. Who knew? I did. Well, anyway, this would be a more accurate depiction of what would happen. Yup, it does not end well for her at all. But okay, let's forget about how she managed to accelerate her breasts, considering how her breasts are already abnormally large for her age. Let's imagine her breasts have, say, some supernatural capabilities, like super speed. In that case, is that survivable? Well, this is footage from the Langley Research Facility where they placed the human into a supersonic wind tunnel just to see what happened. Her breasts moving at 1066 meters per second, which is just over 3600 kilometers per hour. This guy is experiencing wings at 457 miles or just over 734 kilometers per hour. Her breasts are moving almost 5 times as that. Surprisingly, we lack research on what happens to human skin at that speed. You would expect us to have knowledge about such things considering how much money the government is shoveling into aviation related stuff. But then I realized, of course the civilian population will not have access to this knowledge. However, my educated guess is that her skin will tear, sending blood, meat, and breast milk flying everywhere. Wow, that sounded a lot better in my head. Then again, I could be entirely wrong. I could have made a mistake in my math. I could have used the wrong measurements. Maybe because it's anime and anime doesn't give a shit about science, so I just wasted 8 or 9 minutes of your time. In which case, I apologize. Thought the presentation was finished. Guess what? It's not. I think I can squeeze in something for an additional minute, so I want to talk about this scene in anime. Also, you might want to mute your audio.
Let go of me! Damn it, bitch! I said let go!
Many people are criticizing the brown haired girl for kicking the black haired one down. I personally think that this is the correct move. After all, she has been bitten. If she's lucky, she may survive for a few more hours. And if she was unlucky, and let's face it, she was pretty unlucky because, she could have turned into one of them in seconds. Only a matter of time. I guess the black-haired one could have mercy killed her or something, but punching someone to death is not exactly easy or painless way to die. So really, not much she could do anyway that would make the situation better. Also, there's an inconsistency about them I want to mention. There seems to be two different types of zombies in current day media. Those who bite and eat for sustenance and just so happen to pass the virus on in the process, like those in Resident Evil, and those who bite just to pass on the virus, like those in World War Z. Them, in High School After That, don't seem to be either one. They seem to switch her semi-randomly. In this scene, I assume they were eating her, while in this scene, after biting that guy, this piece of shit just stopped biting and started going for a protagonist instead. I would question that, but the dead are being reanimated, so I guess biology just decided to fuck off at this point. Then again, this is anime, a medium of communication where looking at someone can get them pregnant, so I guess biology already fucked off a long time ago. Also, why do they move relatively fast sometimes but super slowly during others? I have a lot more questions, but it's my job to answer them, not create more. But the anime is interesting to say the least. If you know how, you can find the entire first season with English audio in YouTube, so yay. Alright, this is Editing Vaden here. The YouTube video I watched to get footage for this video is gone because the account has been terminated. Really sad. But you can still probably find the entire season somewhere, just make sure you don't let YouTube learn about their existence so they stay up. And that concludes my presentation. I'm Media Analyst Vaden K, amateur Jiggle Physics Enthusiast, signing off. And don't forget to smash the like and subscribe button, and see you next time, fellow analysts.